Good afternoon. Since today, every Saturday, so we going to study the entering into middle way by Chandrakirti. And also, first, I think we are very fortunate to have a oral instruction teaching from His Holiness Dalai Lama for the last 2 days. And it is a very, very rare opportunity to listening, teaching about emptiness. Also, it's a very, very rare opportunity to reflect on emptiness or shunyata. It is a very, very rare to do the meditation on emptiness. Among all the Dharma practice, the best superior practice is practice of emptiness. What Nagarjuna said, one of the treatises, when you reflect on your mind on emptiness, when you reflect on emptiness, the root of the samsara become softened. And also, in order to study about emptiness, so we have to accumulate great amount of merit. In our previous lives, somehow we have, we did accumulate merit. Therefore, this lifetime, so we have, many opportunity to study about emptiness. Therefore, at the beginning, everybody must recognize ourselves is a very fortunate, being very fortunate. And also, since today, we have a class this about emptiness or the middle way for maybe 4 or 5 months. So when we study, definitely many people, going to field, go to think it is so difficult to understand. Yes, it is so difficult to understand the meaning of emptiness. Therefore, when you feel so difficult to understand, you not just give up, studying about emptiness. Certainly, immediately, then you visualize Manjushri and supplicate to Manjushri to develop your wisdom and recite Manjushri mantra. Also, when you feel so difficult, when you feel you're going to give up, studying about the middle way, then certainly also you visualize Vajrasattva and recite the Vajrasattva mantra to purify the obstacle. The most, the great obstacle is the negative karma. So if you go these 2 practice together, praying to Manjushri, recite the mantra and generate your wisdom, and visualize the Vajrasattva, recite the Vajrasattva mantra, purify negative karma, then slowly you will feel it is, now is much easier to understand the emptiness. So we will start the class based on the Nagarjuna, Chandrakirti treatise, enter into middle way. Then also, we must I think, need to realize why it is important, why I need to study the middle way thesis, why I need to, realize the middle way, the middle path. The reason number one, there are so many, the texts, Dharma books to, present the emptiness. The entry into middle way, the thesis is very, the right kind of text, not so big, not so, very short and long, is the right text. Also is explained the order of the 10 bhumis, also explained very clearly the meaning of emptiness is totally distinct from the Chitta Mantra school, totally distinct from the autonomous school, and bring us to the right understanding of emptiness. Therefore, we need to study emptiness. We need to study this book for realizing emptiness. This is the reason. And also, in the Pasangika school, Nagarjuna, the master Nagarjuna, if we can say is or we can say was, the Nagarjuna is, we name, the father of the middle way. So before Nagarjuna, there wasn't, one kind of treatise to bring all the Prajaparamita teaching put together to explain through logic and reasonings. Therefore, Nagarjuna composed the 5 treatises. Among the 5, the fundamental, the wisdom teaching is the kind of heart of the teaching of Nagarjuna. Then Nagarjuna has the most important disciple, which is Aryadeva. Aryadeva also, composed a lot of commentary on the fundamental treatise. Both Nagarjuna and Aryadeva, both, they call, non-sectarian Madhyamaka master. That means they just explain the emptiness. At the same time, they're not really, kind of have an argument with the Chitta Mantra school, didn't have a particular debate with the autonomous school. Therefore, they are called non-sectarian Madhyamaka master. Then later, Buddha Palita also the direct disciple of Nagarjuna. When we open the Buddha Palika, the treatise, the book, he really, established the Pasangika point of view. Also, he totally reject, the meaning of emptiness, the point of view from the autonomous school, Chitta Mantra school. Later, then Chandrakirti also, he totally, fully established the middle way of emptiness. Also, he reject, or he has have a lot of debate with the Chitta Mantra, with the autonomous school. Because autonomous school is also included into Madhyamaka, but the meaning of emptiness is different, they're distinct. So this is therefore when Lama Tsongkhapa composed a commentary on the middle way, intermediate way, first he make a salutation to Buddha, then Manjushri and his own guru, then Nagarjuna, then Aryadeva or Aryadev, then Buddha Palita, Nagarjuna, right? This is the order. And also, Nagarjuna has another, I think, few disciples. One is the I cannot remember the name. Later, the disciple was the teacher of Lama Selingpa. Then the teaching through Lama Selingpa, received through Atisha. So this is the kind of short history of the Madhyamaka's masters. Okay, now we can open the book. If you have the hard copy, if you have the soft copy, you can open. The first, there are totally we have like the 11 chapter. At the beginning, there's a 4 outline. First, the title of the first the salutation for first title of the name, then salutation to complete the text, then the teaching, then the dedication. So these are very, the ancient Buddhist tradition. First, there must be a title, then there must be salutation to complete the compose, then the actual, body, teaching body. At the end, there's a dedication. This one you can see all the Indian ancient Buddhist texts. Later, when the Buddhism flourished to Tibet, all the Tibetan masters, they also follow the same tradition. Therefore, at the beginning, English, the Tibetan, we say Gyagarakedu Madhyamaka Avadara Nama Bögedu Umaranjuba Shichawa. In English, entering the middle way. So these are the title of the books or teaching. The second, I pay homage to the gentle Lord Manjushri. Then, today we study a little bit about the entering the middle way. Right? In Sanskrit, Madhyamaka Avadara Nama. Nama means like a say like that. Madhyamaka. Then Madhyamaka. One second. Now you can come. Lead the light. Entering the middle way. So this sentence is very short sentence, right? Entering the middle way. Entering middle way. Therefore, first we need to know the middle way. The middle way refer to what? Therefore, we go through the commentary by Lama Tsongkhapa. There's a candle light. You need 4 or 5 candle light and over there. Yeah. The meaning of the title in Sanskrit, one of the 4 great languages, the existence in India, the title of the treatise is the Madhyamak Avatara. When translated into Tibetan, it is read it Uma La Jukpa. That is, Uma means the middle way. Jukpa means entering. Now you need to know what does mean the middle and what does mean enter, the middle way, the middle way. So it's very important. You must know the meaning of middle way. Here the middle way that is being entered into is found in the statement to enter the middle way treatise. We are not talking the middle way like the free from the two extremes. The middle way referred to the treatise, the teaching, which is composed by Nagarjuna. Middle way treatise, namely the treatise on the middle way. This anton should be taken to mean the fundamental wisdom. For instance, when the fundamental wisdom, that means enter into middle way, entering middle way. Now you need to see a text written by Chandrakirti, the text name called Entering Middle Way, where does is into enter, is enter into middle way. Right? This text written by Chandrakirti, this text is enter, where is going to enter, is going to enter the middle way. Middle way referred to the fundamental treatise written by Nagarjuna. Right? That means enter where? Enter into the fundamental treatise written by Nagarjuna. Right? Therefore, first we need to know the middle way of the fundamental middle way, the basis of the middle way, the path middle way, the view middle way. The basis middle way is exactly referred to the emptiness. Is it free from the two extremes that we call, the middle, the basis middle way. The middle way path, or the path middle way is the mind which realizes emptiness. Then the middle way of the being means the person who meditates on emptiness, we can say in middle way being, middle way path, middle way basis. Then the middle way teaching and treatise. In the middle way, therefore, the term should not be taken to refer to some other, treatise on the middle way or some other meaning of the term middle way. So here, this text enter into the fundamental treatise. This means through study, through studying this text, this Dharma books, you're going to understand the actual intent of the Nagarjuna. Clear? Through the Chandrakirti Dharma book, so you're going to understand the actual intent, right? Intent of the Nagarjuna. In other way, for us, In order to fully understand the Nagarjuna intent, we need to rely on the Chandrakirti Dharma books, the Chandrakirti books. Right? Then how the Chandrakirti, the treatise enter into middle, how it enter into the fundamental wisdom treatise, how it enter. Then there's a question that in the Lama Tsongkhapa books, what then in the manner in which this treatise enter the fundamental wisdom? That means how this treatise, the enter into middle way, enter into the fundamental wisdom. Also write your name.
In here.
Yeah. Wisdom. Here some assert that the Nagarjuna treatise, the nature of the conventional and ultimate truth have not been expounded extensively, whereas here they have been presented extensively, so the text enter into the treatise. Then some master said the fundamental wisdom treatise not really explain the truth extensively, but the treatise written by Chandrakirti, it explains the truth extensively. Therefore, they say this is the meaning of enter into middle way. And Lama Tsongkhapa said later, with respect to this variety of the reasoning of establishing suchness, however, the fundamental wisdom is far more extensive than the entering the middle way. So I do not see this is the good explanation. Right? This is not the right kind of explanation. Then what does mean the enter into middle way? The Dharma books, how it does enter into middle way. How does it enter mean? Then actually later then Lama Tsongkhapa explained, entering the middle way from the perspective of the vast aspect of the path is follows. In accordance with the tradition of the noble Nagarjuna abiding in the two vehicles of Hinayana and Mahayana, is not distinguishing based on whether on possessed wisdom relies that utter profound truth or not. That's mean here we're saying very simple way, I'm not going to explain everything, very simple way. There's a two ways. There are two ways this text enter into the fundamental wisdom. There's a two way. There's only two ways to enter into middle way. What are the two ways? One, from the perspective of the vast. Second is, perspective from the profound way. Profound way. What does mean enter through the perspective of profound, and what does mean? It's very simply, there are so many Indian masters who explain the fundamental wisdom treatise according to the Chitta Mandala school. Also the meaning they explain according to the autonomous school. Right? Therefore, what Chandrakirti said in his text, this fundamental wisdom teaches. The actual meaning is only explained, only present according to Pasangika. This meaning you really cannot explain according to Chitta Mantra, according to autonomous school, only according to Pasangika. Therefore, Chandrakirti was saying this text, the actual meaning, the actual Nagarjuna intent is only according to Pasangika. You cannot explain his, the meaning according to Chitta Mantra, according to autonomous school. That means the profound, the meaning of emptiness, we must realize only according to Pasangika school. If you realize, emptiness according to the Chitta Mantra school, you haven't realized emptiness. If you already realize emptiness according to the autonomous school, yet you haven't realized actually the emptiness. If you wish to realize emptiness, you must realize emptiness only according to Pasangika school. Therefore, the fundamental wisdom text, the actual meaning of emptiness must according to Pasangika. You cannot explain the meaning, according to other school. That means through this text, you will know exactly the meaning of emptiness. That means this text enter into the fundamental wisdom from the perspective of the profound. Clear? Second, this text written by Nagarjuna, the inter-middle way text, entering into the fundamental wisdom perspective of the was. What does mean the perspective was? This means here saying, I will explore this point further in the other section below. Thus, the path present in the Nagarjuna's text should ideally be complete, maintained with the other diminution of the Mahayana path found in the other structure of the novel Nagarjuna. For reasoning, Chandrakirti present this supplement in the work, the three factors of the ground ordinary beings, the 10 ground of the Arya Bodhisattva on the learning path, learning stage, then the resultant ground, and on the basis of explaining the sequence of the 5th and the 6th ground, the cultivation of the perspective insight grounded, entangled, abiding. That means the three ordinary beings ground. Then 10 Bodhisattvas Bhumi. Then the resultant ground on the basis of explaining the sequence of the 5th and the 6th ground, the sequence of the 5th and 6th ground. The cultivation of perspective inside ground and the tangle abide. That means first 3 ordinary ground, 10 Bhumi ground, then the resultant ground, then the sequence of the fifth and sixth ground, all of them, Nagarjuna, put everything in order. He supplement these are in his text. That means those like 10 bhumis, 3 ordinary grounds, the order sequence of fifth and sixth ground, not openly, precisely presented in the fundamental wisdom. Therefore, Chandrakirti openly, precisely explain this text. That means this text also enter into this fundamental wisdom. In order to know all the complete meanings of the fundamental wisdom text, you need to study this enter into middle way. Otherwise, you're not going to understand the first ordinary 3 grounds, 10 bhumis ground, the order of the 5th and 5th and 6th ground, then also the resultant, the quality of the resultant, those things you're not going to understand if you only study, the fundamental wisdom. This means, usually what we call something missing, look like something missing in the fundamental wisdom. Those missing content, those missing things, complete by Chandrakirti. It look like missing, but actually everything explained very hiddenly. So therefore, ordinary people, they don't understand all of them based on the fundamental texts. That means entering middle way. Now I will ask a question to you. What is the middle way referred to, the entering into middle way? What is the middle way referred to according to here, the entering middle way? You must say the fundamental texts, right? The fundamental texts, the fundamental wisdom texts. This is the middle way. This middle way not referred to the basis middle way, the path middle way, the being middle way, only the texts. Then second, I ask a question, how the entering middle way, the text, right, the Nagarjuna text, enter into the fundamental text, how does it enter to them, enter to that? That means there's a two ways enter into middle way. One, perspective from the profound. Second is perspective from the vast. How this text enter into fundamental texts from the perspective of the profound meaning, mean the actual meaning of emptiness, the actual meaning of the fundamental texts. We cannot explain according to Chitta Mantra school, according to autonomous school. The fundamental actual meaning, the Nagarjuna intent, only explained according to the Pasangika. Therefore, Chandrakirti really pushing, explaining. This is the actual Nagarjuna intent. Second, how this text enter into fundamental treatise from the perspective of the vast teaching. Mean first the 3 ordinary groans, then 10, Buddhist Arya groan, then the resultant groan, the sequence between 5th and 6th groan. All of them look like missing in the fundamental text. All of them supplement by Chandrakirti. Therefore, in order to know the complete meaning, the meaning of fundamental text, then we need to rely on Chandrakirti books. Clear? That means the title is, entering the middle way. Then I pay homage to the gentle Lord Manjushri. So this is the homage to Manjushri to complete the translation. Also, this is very Tibetan Buddhist tradition. I think around the 7th or 8th century, the Tibetan king, the Songtsen Gampo, he made a rule. Since today, any Buddha teaching, any Buddhist text translated into Tibetan, first you need to mention clearly the title of the book. Second, you need to put the clear salutation to complete the translation work. Then I explained, during the revision class, there's a 3, basket. All the Buddha teaching we can put into 3 basket or 3 3 basket. Mean put into 3 kinds of teaching. Teaching about the Vinaya, the teaching about the path and meditation, and teaching about the view, the wisdom. That's mean we name Vinaya teaching, then Sutra teaching, then Abhidharma teaching. Please remember Vinaya teaching, then Abhidharma teaching, then first Vinaya, Sutra, Abhidharma. There's all Buddha teaching we can include into only 3 kinds of teaching. So according to 3 teaching, then there's a 3 different way to make a salutation to complete the translation. Here at the beginning, they make a salutation to Manjushri. This means this entering the middle way is included into Abhidharma. We mainly explain the wisdom. If the teaching is included into Vinaya, the translator must make a salutation to omniscient. If the teaching is included into Sutra, then the translator must make a salutation to Buddha and Bodhisattva. Clear? So when you open any Tibetan book, translated into English, translated into Chinese, any languages, you can see is very clearly first the title, second is is translated from Indian language. There must be a salutation for complete the translation. when you see the salutation, for you very clearly understand, oh, this teaching, the Vinaya teaching, this teaching, Abhidharma, this teaching is Sutra. And also, we are Buddhist. We follow Buddha, Buddha teaching for many, many years. So we must know the three mind training or three, Buddhist practices. The Vinaya practice, Abhidharma practice, then Sutra practice. Within the three, first, the Vinaya practice is look like foundation, Vinaya practice. Then the Sutraya teaching is look like second, first floor. Then Abhidharma is the third. In order to practice the Vinaya, then I think, the simply as a lay person, you must take the lay person vows or lay person precepts. 6 or 4 or among the, one of the 4. So if you have the precept, is control the negative thoughts, control the affliction, afflictive emotion is control, not really, surprise, cannot. First, you need to reduce through your daily, the precept practice. After you reduce or control, then you need to suppress. The suppress can be, come through the practice of Sutra, mean, the path, also mainly the meditation. Then when you have your mind is quite, concentrated, become very concentrated mind, then thought for you very easy to realize the actual truth. That means these three practices has an order. First Vinaya, second Sutra, the third Abhidharma. So these texts include into Abhidharma. Right? Then now we open the actual teaching, actual book, right? Actual body. So in the body, also first at the beginning, there's a salutation. Then actual the body, the teaching body. Then last, then there's a dedication. Or last, there's a how he composed this book and the dedication. First, salutation, actual body, then dedication. 3. Right? This salutation is composed by Nagarjuna. At the beginning, I homage to General Lord Manjushri. This salutation composed by the translator. It is not Nagarjuna, it is not Chandrakirti's words. So translator, he homage to Manjushri to complete the translation. Then Chandrakirti, beginning of the Dharma, beginning of the teaching, he also make a salutation to complete the compose the teaching. Now you can see there's 2 different meaning to make a salutation. Then in I think except a few Indian master books, otherwise almost average, of the Indian master books, they make a salutation to Buddha, Bodhisattva, Manjushri, so and so, so, so. They not really make a salutation to compassion. So Nagarjuna, so Chandrakirti, he at the beginning he make a salutation to compassion. Compassion. Right? Therefore, we first we finish the salutation verses. So all we together chant slowly. You can chant in English, you can chant in Tibetan, you can chant in Chinese. There's two languages, two Chinese simplified and the traditional. Okay, first, the first grown is perfect joy. Charvaka and the middle level Buddhas arise from the Svijan sages. Buddhas are born from Bodhisattva. The compassionate mind and the non-dual cognition, as well as the awakening mind, these are causes of Bodhisattva. As compassion alone is accepted to be the seeds of the perfect harvest of the Buddhahood, the water that nourishes it, and the fruit that is a source of enjoyment. I will praise compassion at the start of all. Then the next two paragraph is also, making salutation to compassion, but it's a different way. So also we chant all of them together. First, with the thought, I am, they cling to ourself. Then with the thoughts, mind, they become attached to things. Like buckets on the water wheel, they turn without control. I bow to the compassion that care for such a suffering beings. Being are like a reflection on a moon in the repelling water. Seeing them as floating devoid of the intrinsic nature, the Bodhisattva mind falls under compassion sway, yearning to start free every transmigrating beings. These are the salutation for the compassion. So why Chandrakirti prefer to prostrate or make salutation to compassion instead of Buddha, Bodhisattva, Manjushri, Buddha Shakyamuni? Why? So he really wanted to explain to the disciple, the root, the actual cause of the Buddha is compassion. Mahayan teaching, all the Mahayan kind of practices is rooted by compassion. Compassion. That means when he made a salutation to the cause of the Buddha, indirectly, actually, he made a salutation, salutation to Buddha, directly compassion, because compassion is the root cause of the Buddha. Compassion is the root cause of the Bodhisattva. Compassion is the root cause of the Mahayana practices. Right? So this is very important kind of advice for us. Becoming Buddha depends on great compassion. Your practices can be Mahayana, Hinayan. It depends on great compassion. You are a Hinayan practitioner or Mahayana practitioner, it depends on great compassion. Without great compassion, if you recite any mantra, chanting, prostration, whatever, all the Dharma practice, all the practices can be the Hinayan path. With the great compassion, all your practice can be Mahayana practice. Right? Therefore, Maha or Hina is depend on practicing great compassion, not only compassion. Okay, now we go sentence by sentence. The first sentence, Charvakas and the middle level Buddhas arise from civilian sages. That means Charvakas, the middle level of Buddhas, arise from where? Answer, arise from the civilian sages or arise from Buddha. When you chant this sentence, what you need to think, oh, this person, is a Charvaka, or this person is a middle level of, Buddha or practitioner. That means how he or she, we can name Charvaka and middle level of Buddhas. How? Because they generated the path, the Hinayana path. They generated the Hinayana path because they practice the Buddha teaching. Particularly, they practice the dependent origination. That means born doesn't mean, the Charvaka and the middle level of Buddhas are, kind of really actually produced by Buddha. That means they generated, they develop the path depend on Buddha teaching, particularly teaching about the dependent arising. Then, yes, now we notice Charvaka, the middle level Buddhas, they are born, arise from Buddha. Then where does Buddha was born? Then we should note, yes, Buddha Shakyamuni was, born from her mother, right? No. The second, Buddhas are born from Bodhisattva. Buddhas are born from Bodhisattva. Again, this also is talking, is daily, showing us the path, the lamrim. I mean, when we, I think some of you may be totally new. When we take refuge, right? When we take refuge to Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, or when you take refuge to your Guru, there's two causes. First, the fear of the samsara, fear of the, or the root of the cause of the samsara. When you really have a strong fear about samsara, then second, you're really going to search a refuge or protection. Without having any sense of fears, when you say, I take refuge of Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, it just merely become a word. So first sense of fear. When you have a fear, then we think, who can really save me from the fear? Who can protect me from the fear? Then through study, yes, the Buddha, Dharma, Sangha can be my refuge. That time you are taking refuge to the actual Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, who are already exist now. Then we call, the resultant. We call the causal refuge. The Buddha, Dharma, Sangha are here right now. You are taking a refuge to them. At the same time, you are not just taking a refuge to Buddha. At the same time, you really you yourself wish to be Buddha. When you take refuge to the Dharma, you are not just taking refuge to the Dharma, you have a strong aspiration to achieve, to generate the path. Also, when you take refuge to the Sangha, you're not only taking refuge to the Sangha, at the same time, you must have a very strong aspiration yourself to be a Sangha. Right? So, when you take refuge, you must remember the causal refuge, then the resultant refuge. So in order to be Buddha, right, we need to take refuge to Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. Actually, first you have to be, whether you're male or female, doesn't matter. First you have to be Sangha among the, triple gem, among the three refuge. The Sangha here not referred to be a monk, be a nun. No. When you reach to the seeing path, the third path, you already became Sangha among the triple gem. So you became Sangha based on taking refuge to Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. Right? You became Sangha. So when you became Sangha, then you already accomplished, you already achieved, the path, the seeing path. So you achieved, you accomplished the path. Again, taking the Buddha, Dharma, Sangha as your refuge. Also, you already have one of the refuge, which is Sangha and Dharma. Then at the end, many years after, you will be a Buddha. You become a Buddha. You become a Buddha again because you take refuge to Buddha as a teacher, Dharma as your practice, Sangha as your component. Then you already become Sangha. Then you generate the path. Then you apply the path for many years. Then one day you become Sangha. Therefore, when you say, I take refuge to Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, you must have two thoughts. One, you need to reflect the causal refuge. Second, you need to reflect on the resultant refuge. Right? Therefore, here, the Charvaka, the middle level Buddhas, arise from Sarvajan sages. Mean they listen the Buddha teaching. Not only listening, after lesson, then they reflect on the meaning for many, many times. finally they fully realize, then they practice. Therefore, first the listening, then reflecting, then meditating, right? So this one also I think is important to explain you what all the Kadamba master says. When you practicing the listening, teaching, you merely reflect on the words, the sound. Mean you hear impermanence. For many times you just reflect on the sound, the teaching, impermanence. You have reflect your mind on the words or the sound, hearing. Then reflecting. When you reflecting on when you practice the reflecting, mean your mind need to reflect on the sound and the meaning. Then when you do meditation, then you merely reflect on the meaning. For example, first you listen the teaching about impermanence. Then you reflect your mind for many times on impermanence of the sound, then the meaning, then the meditation. This must go through order. Therefore, the Charvaka, the middle level Buddha, they generated renunciation. They meditate on impermanence because based on the Buddha teaching. Therefore, they say arise from a Buddha. Then Buddhas arise or born from Bodhisattva. Then Bodhisattvas, the compassion mind, the non-dual cognition, as well as the awakening mind, these are cause of the Bodhisattva, right? Now you can see, the complete sets of the Lamrim. First, compassion. Then the non-dual cognition. Then bodhicitta. Then you become bodhisattva. Then you practice these three together for many years. Then one day you become a Buddha. Right? Therefore, make sure you must go through the order. You cannot just practice bodhicitta without compassion. You cannot really practice the sixth perfection without the non-dual cognition. Also, you can see is Lamrim. These are cause of the Bodhisattva. Now, go more detailedly. The compassion you can divide into three types or three kinds of compassion you can generate. Then non-dual cognition. Cognition is a mind which is cognize emptiness. Right? Cognition is a mind which is cognize the emptiness. The emptiness we named non-dual. Mean there's no really two things there. Then awakening mind. These are the causes of bodhisattvas. Then why for the Nagarjuna, why it is so important to make a salutation to compassion, not Buddha, Manjushri, so and so. Why for Nagarjuna, why it is so important? Then Nagarjuna explained later here, as compassion alone is the accepted to be the seats of the perfect habits of Buddha. the water that nurtures it, the fruit that is the long a source of enjoyment. Therefore, for him, compared with Buddha and compassion, for him, he thought compassion is most important, first as a seed, then continuously develop. Also, compassion is very, very important as a water, because there's a seeds, then the sprout grow, continuously nourishes, then we need water. Then the sprout becomes so big, huge, like a tree. If there's no fruits, then there's no point to grow tree. There must be a fruit. So after practice love, compassion, bodhicitta, emptiness, when someone becomes Buddha, also compassion is very important. Compassion is important. Why? If someone, let's say, in case someone became a Buddha, then he or she doesn't really have a great compassion. That means then the Buddha can remain in the bliss state for forever, never reincarnate to benefit any sentient beings. Therefore, compassion is very important at the beginning as a seed, in the middle, important as a water, at the end, it is important as a ripen the fruits. I will, preach compassion at the start of all. For those reasons, so Nagarjuna preached to compassion to complete his, the composing these books, this teaching. Clear? There's been two kind of salutation. One composed by the translator for complete the translation from Sanskrit to Tibetan. Then Nagarjuna make a priest or salutation to compassion to complete the compose the teachings. Now the second, so the third paragraph explain three types of compassion. First, with the thoughts, I am. Right now, everybody need to reflect your own I. When we say I, right now, I am, studying, entering the middle way. First, we have a thoughts. The thoughts, thinking about I. Right? Should not mix the thoughts and the I. First, with the thoughts, then I am. They cling to self. These three was very important. First, the thoughts, the mind. The mind absorbs the I. When we think about our own I, we thought our own I is look like self. It's kind of independent. Right? First, with the thoughts, I am. Then the thoughts cling on I as a self. So we need to know this at the beginning. There's a thoughts. First, with the thoughts, I am. Then the thoughts cling to I as a self, as a independent. So before we move the second line, here we need to think, we need to recognize, we have to go through we try to have an experience about the teaching. First, everybody think, I am, I, right? I. That time they really have a kind of mixing thing. There is a kind of thoughts, or is not thoughts. There's a kind of very mixture things happen, this moment. Anyway, first you think, I am, I, right? I. When you have a mind, when we have a thoughts, they're thinking I. For us, the I is look like very independent, just self. No, it's not depend on our 5 aggregates, right? Aggregates. This means not depending on 5 aggregates. The I we name self. So this is we need to negate. We need to negate the I, which is not depending on the 5 aggregates, which is self. Right? Therefore, we have a thoughts. The thoughts cling on the I as an independent. Then second, we think my. Right? I am a monk, and this is my book. Second, when we say this is my, also we have a thoughts. The thoughts possess the book. The books belongs to whom? This book belongs to me, belongs to I. Second, also we have a kind of tendency to believe that things also exist independently. Therefore, then there's a attachment. First, with the thoughts, I am. They cling to a self. Then with the thought, mine, me and mine. Then they became attached to the thing. Also, I think some of you may think mine refer to the book. No. When we say this is my book, that time there's an I, which is possess the book. Therefore, mine refer to the I, which is possess the book. Right? First you say I. That time there's a I. Second you say this is my book. That time there's another I, which is possess the book. The I which is possess the book, then we name mine. Mine not refer to the book. Then with the thought mind, they become attached to the thing. Then there's a words, they cling to self. Right? The thoughts cling to the I as a self. The thoughts, the mind, which is grabs the I as a self, I is independent, this is ignorance. The mind which is clinging on the I as an independent I. The mind is ignorance. Second, the independent I, which is possess everything, then there's a attachment. Then there's a anger, all the thoughts arise, then engage into karma. Therefore, the third line, like buckets on the water wheel, they turn without control. This is an analogy, right? That means there's an ignorance, the ignorant cause attachment, anger, and attachment, anger, all the affliction, thought cause to karma. Therefore, we are in samsara, nobody can control. It's really going on and on. Right? Because ignorance produces attachment, anger, they produce karma, born in samsara, again cling to the I, then there's no really, nobody control. Nobody can control until today. We can say until this lifetime. The like buckets on the water wheel, they turn without control. I bow to the compassion that cares for the such suffering beings. Right? This sentence is a sentence to preach compassion without, differentiating. Just, preach to the compassion. This also teach us how to generate compassion. Right? So here you can read, I think the third paragraph from the three principal aspects. Okay, good. The battery is coming. I can roll down. Here, this paragraph. First, with the thoughts I am, they cling to self. Then with the thoughts mind, they become attached to the things, like buckets on the water wheel. They turn without control. I bow the compassion, the cares of the suffering being. The first three sentences teach us how to generate compassion. If you reflect on other, very easily, you can easily generate compassion. When you reflect on yourself, how we are in samsara, how we've been in samsara, then it really generates the renunciation. For within this lifetime, just think, for example, early morning, we get up early morning, have a breakfast, lunch, dinner, walk, sleep, morning again woke up, eat, walk, sleeping. If you think, the cycle for every day, wake up early morning, have a breakfast, lunch, dinner, toilet, sleep, again woke up. If we reflect for only these lifetimes, we feel so boring, right? How many times we have been woke up? How many times we, we have been sleeping? So therefore, based on the analogy of the water buckets, you reflect on you, for you very easy to have a strong aspiration, strong wishing, free from the samsara. When you reflect on, that means you are looking then how these beings around me is really, cycling. in the samsara. That means, first everybody has an I, then there's a thoughts, there's a mind. The mind cling on the I as a self. That means the thought is totally ignorant to recognize the I. In fact, the I is merely designated based on the 5 aggregates. But the ignorance cling on the self as an independent. Then, second, then they possess things. When the thing possessed by the I, all the possessed things look like independently existent. Then things look like independently existent. When we see something beautiful, for us, it looks like really beautiful things there. Then we have an attachment. Right? When we are very angry with someone, angry with the person, angry with the phenomena, angry with the weather, for us, we think I'm really angry with something, they are actually solidly there. Then anger. Through anger, then we have accumulated a lot of negative karmas. Accumulate negative karma means we are putting a lot of bad habits. When you have a lot of bad habits, you always you've been a negative person, right? Cumulative positive karma means we are putting a lot of kind of imprints, habit in our mind. Then we can have a lot of good things happening in our life. Then karma. Then before we died, then the grasping, craving and grasping activate the karma. Positive karma, negative karma, whatever karma, they activate the positive or negative karma, one of the karma. Then again, we born. Then again, for many years, we go through all the sufferings, then we die. Like this. So when you reflect for other, that you really wish, those people and those sentient beings have been suffering for millions of years because of the misunderstanding about self. Then misunderstanding about all the belongings. Then they accumulate karma. Then there is samsara, right? So this also explaining how to generate bodhicitta based on reflecting on others, teach us how to generate renunciation based on reflecting on ourselves. Also, so when we practice compassion, so based on Lama Tsongkhapa Lamrim, first we need to recognize the suffering of change, the pervasive. First, we need to, recognize ourselves. So when we have a, suffering, how do we feel? Do we feel happy? No, we never feel happy. It's suffering. Then when we have a suffering, we always wish, I am free from the suffering. When we have a suffering of change, then also we have a strong wishing ourselves to free from suffering. So first you need to recognize the suffering based on your own experience. When you have a really, the good experience of a suffering, then when you see somebody have, one of the suffering, then definitely you have a compassion because you've gone through the experience. When you see somebody suffering, you can generate. When we have a suffering, that we don't really put means to free us from suffering, then when we say all sentient being free from suffering, it also becomes just merely words. First, you must recognize suffering, of the suffering based on you, and have a strong desire or aspiration to free from this suffering. Right? The second, you generate this same compassion towards one of your dearest one. Then second, slowly you extend compassion other. Renunciation also same. So without recognizing the suffering based on your own, then when you try to generate compassion other, it just become merely words. Right? Therefore, the first paragraph leads to compassion without differentiating. That means just have a compassion for all sentient beings. Then the fourth paragraph, being are like reflections on a moon in the repelling water. That means beings, all sentient beings are like an impermanent, like a moon reflection on the repelling water, right? There's a water, and there's a very light wind on the water. The water is really have a light wave. When you look at the moon on the water, then you can see the moon is really like a shaking, moving every moment. This what you tell us all beings, include you and me, are impermanence, cannot exist without changing any moment, one moment. We cannot stay one moment without changing. It's changing momentarily, right? Momentarily. Without recognizing ourselves, everything is changing momentarily. We don't recognize, we don't really understand things changing momentarily. Therefore, we have a really, kind of, like a thoughts. We think I will live for 100 years, 80 years, 85 years. If I could, I want to live, forever. We have this kind of misunderstanding. Due to this misunderstanding, then we have to do all the bad things in life. If you always remember, all the beings look like reflecting moon on the rippling water, then you must remember I also impermanence. Then you remember the 9, I think, reasoning to meditate on the death. First, definitely I'm going to die. But first, definitely I'm going to die. Second, not sure when I'm going to die. Third, when I'm leaving this world, when the death comes, only Dharma can help me. Only Dharma can be, the useful. We can say useful, helpful. Death definitely comes any times. Definitely come because of impermanence. We never know when it comes. You can see somebody is very healthy in the morning, you cannot see afternoon. Yesterday, someone was very well, no problem. Morning, you cannot see. Someone much younger than you. They already, so many of your friends and neighbor have left. They are young, much younger than us. Therefore, death will come, definitely come. There's no certainty. The moment of the death, my friends cannot help me. The moment of the death, my enemy cannot harm me. Even the moment of the death, your best Dharma friend, do some chanting, they cannot have much only your dharma, your daily dharma practice can help you. So every moment when you meditate on impermanence, you need to think about the 9 reasoning, how to meditate on death based on the Lamrim. Therefore, the first one, beings are like reflection of the moon in repelling water. That means, generate compassion towards the impermanent beings. Then the second line, seeing them as a filtering, as a devoid of the intrinsic nature. So meditate or generate compassion towards the beings who are totally empty from inherent existence. Also, this 2 line has another the important practice. We attach for this, so strongly attached our this life. We so strongly attached with our relatives and friends because we don't recognize their impermanence, right? Therefore, we having so many problems. Therefore, we wish to realize impermanence first ourselves. Then all sentient beings wish to realize impermanence. Without realizing impermanence, all sentient beings having so many problems and difficulties. The second line also, I'm in samsara for, being in samsara for millions of years because I haven't realized the devoid of intrinsic nature. Then you wish to realize, emptiness. At the same time, all sentient beings in samsara, because they haven't recognized, haven't realized emptiness. When we think this way, sometimes you feel, sometimes you really feel you become totally hopeless. For example, this day, the situation in Afghanistan, they really, bully their own people. They are same, they follow same religion. They kill their own people. They kill other people. We don't know how many people they will kill in the future. So how we really can, really help them? Then you must know, yes, they have a lot of misunderstanding. The root is ignorance. Without realizing emptiness, without realizing dependent origination, they have been doing all the bad things. Then you wish, they will realize emptiness. So every day, you can, so since today, next maybe 2-3 weeks, you can recite the first chapter once a day. The first chapter once a day. Second, when we start the second, like a chapter, then every day, we chant first and second chapter. Not just chant, then you reflect the meaning, pause and do like a meditation. Okay, now it's a 4:37. Is there any questions? Is there anything I must clarify? Please let me know.
Yeah, dear Dharma Bhai sisters, so now is the Q&A session. If you have any question, you can either raise your hand or you can type your question in the chat window.
And also in the root text, the middle Buddha. Many people think, what does mean middle Buddha, small Buddha, middle Buddha? The hearers, Charvaka, they do some, the socialized things. They stay within the, I think, group or stay in the social. Then also sometimes they attend the Mahayan teachings. They learn, bodhicitta, great compassion. They just only learned. Then they taught love and compassion, bodhicitta, other. But they themselves, they don't practice, great compassion, bodhicitta. They be called hearer. Mean they listen the teaching, pass it to other. They themselves don't practice. They be called hearer. The middle means a meaning. So the one of the Hinayan, types of practitioners, they are in the middle. Compared with hearer, they are better. Compared with Buddha, they are a bit lower. They are we call middle. Right? Compared with the hearer, they are much better. Compared with Buddha, they are a bit much lower. They we call the middle. Then what called Buddha? Buddha. Since they are, I think few years, they really attend, the teachings. They really, get all the necessary teachings to achieve liberation. When they complete all the teaching, they learn how to practice the teaching perfectly. Since they never ever, come in the society, they totally, live in the solitary, totally alone. That means they really wish to be Buddha themselves, no rely on, guru or teacher since. Therefore, you can say middle, Buddha. And Buddha, you must, there's a, when you say Buddha can be referred to the only liberation. Also, Buddha referred to the complete, Buddhahood. So if you little bit, open way, the liberation also we name Buddha. Buddha mean fully awake from ignorance. Develop all good qualities. Develop all good qualities. Buddha. That means they wish to be, Arahat themselves. No more rely on gurus or teachers. They totally be solid and practice path until they became Arahat. Therefore, you can say middle and Buddha. Then last time what he said, when we think about the meaning of the Charvaka and hearer, most of us look like hearers because we attend all the teachings, all the initiation, all the teaching, all the instruction, all the oral transformation. We attend, we listen all the teaching, we never apply. When you have a chance, you explain to others. He only said, we should not be like hearers. But hearer. Sometimes I really admire all of you because your life is so busy. Still, you really put a lot of effort. You try to have a free time to study Dharma. You have been studying Dharma so many years. Actually, you have the good understanding how to practice Dharma, how to practice renunciation, how to generate bodhicitta. You have enough knowledge. But we are lacking the applying. We are lacking the practice. No practice, then we cannot see the benefit of the studying Dharma, benefit of attending teaching and listening. Therefore, it is so important to practice. Practice, right? So when we think about practicing Dharma, many people think, oh, I have to stay, quiet place, do a lot of recitation, chanting, right? Yes, this is in one way, but if you practice Dharma every day, you no need to stay in the quiet place. You always check your mind. Check your mind. You always need to look inside. What's going in? Anger, attachment, hatred, ego, jealousy, pride. What's things going inside? You need to check. After you checking, definitely, your mind is you will realize, well, right now, I have a slight sense of hatred. So you have a sense of hatred. You hate whom? You hate your friends or family, or you have a sense of hatred for weather, food. What? You need to analyze. But after you analyzing, then you will realize you're going to know the reason why you have a sense of hatred. Then immediately you need to reduce, you need to eliminate through applying the antidotes. Therefore, you can apply Dharma anywhere, while you are on the MRT, on the bus, or the meditation, in the park. So because you always walk with your mind. The mind neither positive nor negative. The mind itself is a kind of neutral, but it depends on the condition. Due to beautiful condition, the mind transforms into attachment. Due to ugliness, the mind transforms into hatred. Then also, the mind transforms into ego. So you always need to check your mind, then control your mind. This means practice of Dharma. So if I really wish all of you, I know all of you, trying to practice Dharma, still continuously practice the Dharma. Okay, no question, then we can.
Oh, there's a question, Geshe-la.
Okay.
Before entering into path of seeing, Geshe-la, you mentioned that there is 3 ordinary ground. Could Geshe-la explain more on this?
Yeah, this is the first, like great compassion, bodhicitta, then the wisdom realize emptiness. This is the first, 3 ordinary ground. Since ordinary means, the boundary is, since you realize emptiness, the direct mind, then you become ordinary. Until you haven't realized emptiness, we name ordinary beings. In Tibetan language, we say So-su-kye-o. So-su-kye-o is ordinary, mean until the seeing paths. Yeah, 3 are great compassion, renunciation, great compassion, bodhicitta, then the wisdom which realizes emptiness. Any question?
Yes. Geshe-la, which realm does Shravakas and middle level Buddhas belong to?
So there's a 8 bhumi according to the Hinayana path, the Hinayana practice. 8 bhumi, 8. When you say first, second, third bhumi, it look like similar. Actually, the name is same, actually totally different. The Charvaka, then the middle Buddha, they never going to be, any of the 10 bhumi until they enter into bodhicitta, until they enter into the Mahayana path. they're never going to accomplish any of the 10 bhumis until they enter into the Mahayana path or Bodhisattva path. So here, I think who you ask question, you need to know based on the Buddha teaching, based on the different Buddha teaching, there are 3 final destination. 3 finalist destination mean here when they reach to the liberation is the last, and the middle Buddha when they reach to liberation is the last destination. Bodhisattva reach to Buddhahood is the last destination. There's one view, there are the 3 last destination. According to other Buddha, some of the other Buddha teachings, there are only one last destination, last the Buddhahood. The hearers go all the way to liberation. Middle Buddha go all the way to liberation, achieve liberation. Then one day, they will enter into Bodhisattva paths. Then reach to Buddhahood. Right? There's 2 different views based on the Buddha teaching. Some teaching, only one destination, go to liberation and again enter into Bodhisattva path, go to Buddhahood. Other view is when they reach to liberation is liberation, they never go again into Bodhisattva paths. Therefore, you have to answer hearer and Charva, the middle Buddha, until they enter into Bodhisattva paths, they're never going to have any of the 10 bhumis. But according to the Theravada, they have their own bhumi. There's 8 bhumis. The name is same as bhumi, but its meaning is totally different. Clear? It's quite clear?
This is Kishila. Kishila, what is the shortest, most effective way to accumulate merits daily so that we can understand the profound topic of emptiness?
What Lama Tsongkhapa says, easy way to accumulate merit is the rejoicing. Wish to, if you want to accumulate merit while you are sleeping, Lama Tsongkhapa says, always rejoice. Mean, whoever have been doing the good things, you have a sense of rejoice. Rejoice. You can rejoice, all the Buddhas who practice all the past for millions of years. Also, you can have a strong rejoice, all the merits accumulated by Buddhas, all the merit, all the practice performed by Bodhisattva, hearers, or ordinary beings. But rejoice is very important, very easy to make accumulations of merit. But then, if you're talking about your best of your practice, right? In the 7th point, you're talking about 3 objects, 3 present minds, 3 virtues. 3 virtues refer to the non-attachment virtues, non-hatred virtues, non-ignorance virtues. Whatever you do, your daily practice, make sure is free from the attachment. But our daily practice, we do, today I'm very sick. I want to do, medicine Buddha mantra. So you recite medicine Buddha mantra. Reciting mantra also is not becoming non-attachment virtues. You attach with this life. You attach with the samsara. Also, sometimes you do pray to, doing chanting recitation to benefit your relatives. Also, is kind of virtues, is not a great, still attachment there. So, try to accumulate merit without having any, attachment. Then you can accumulate a great amounts of merits. One, kind of rejoicing. Second is the non-attachment. Non-attachment. Remember, when you do prostration, remember the person whom I perform is also empty of mere existence. The prostration which is I am performing also empty of mere existence. The object whom I am prostrating also empty of inherent existence. This totally non-attachment is the best and also a very quicker way to accumulate merits.
Then when Geshe-la, when we are meditating on emptiness, what things should we note so that we won't fall into either extreme?
Actually, before you meditate on emptiness, you need to recognize, you need to realize, the actual meaning, actual emptiness. In order to realize the actual, the right kind of emptiness, you must negate the two extremes. Based on negating two extremes, you realize emptiness, then you meditate emptiness. Then there's no dangers you fall into one or the extreme. Because you already negate the two extremes, then you recognize or realize emptiness, then now you are meditating on it. Then there are no dangers. Your mind, your thoughts going to fall into one of the extremes. So there's a danger to fall into one of the extremes while we are trying to, recognize emptiness. After you really recognize, after you really realize, then there's no dangers to fall into any of the extremes. Finish? No question, right?
That's all for now, Geshe-la.
Okay. So today we have a quite number of people who attend the class. I really, very much appreciate to attend the class. So we go slowly based on the root text. Also, sometimes we go through a commentary by Lama Tsongkhapa. The commentary by Lama Tsongkhapa include the root text, also the commentary by Chandrakirti, then Nagarjuna, then Tsongkhapa his own commentary with the root text and the commentary. So this is the books. If you want to order the soft copy by Amazon, I think not Amazon, right? But the Wisdom Publish. Then when you have free time, you can read a little bit, a few pages. It's one of the best, commentary on Enter the Middle Way. The commentary on the Middle Way is very clear, very easy to understand. Okay, thank you so much for attending the class. At the end, we do, the dedication. During our class, definitely we have accumulated a great amount of merits, a great amount of positive actions. All the merit and actions, first we accumulate, dedicate, realizing emptiness for becoming Buddha, to benefit all sentient beings, for eliminating ignorance, free us from samsara, free us from the cause of samsara. Second, we dedicate the merit to flourish, continuously flourish the Dharma into 10 directions, have opportunity to practice Dharma for all sentient beings. Also dedicate the merit to live long life, all the lineage gurus who flourish the Dharma, particularly flourish the middle way teaching into 10 directions. Last, we dedicate benefit all sentient beings free from problems and sufferings. Also dedicate the merit for world peace in Afghanistan. Thank you. Have a happy Saturday. Bye-bye.